Hi guys, and welcome to today's video. In today's video, I just wanted to share with you a couple of simple tips that I found quite helpful when delivering online lessons. First thing to remember is that your voice is not for you. Most of the time, people's voices really irritate them and they don't like the sound of their own voice, even me. But in reality, what we need to remember is that your voice is for the benefit of others. They're used to hearing your voice every single day. So although we might not like the sound of our own voice, to those people, it's normal. With that being said, don't be scared to be yourself. The little quirks, the enthusiasm and things that you do on a daily basis within your lessons, your students will love, and they'll know that to be you. Try and let your personality and your enthusiasm for the subject shine through. My next tip to give you is to plan, prepare and pace yourself when delivering online content. The number one thing that you need to remember is to plan every lesson as if it was a normal lesson. Make sure that you know exactly what you want students to achieve by the end of the lesson, but also how you're going to pass that information on to them. What should the learning process look like at the end of the lesson? What work should the students have produced? What should they know? And how will you know that learning has taken place? One of the ways that I like to prepare for an online lesson is to make sure that I have everything that I'm going to need for that lesson here with me from the beginning. I don't want to be looking around for PowerPoints, trying to find equipment or looking around for models or any specific equipment during the lesson. I want as little things to distract me from the learning process as possible. Personally, I like to have a cue or a PowerPoint or some kind of picture that prompts me and reminds me of what I'm meant to be talking about at which stage. You might do this with a particular PowerPoint, you might use specific teacher notes, but whatever it is, make sure you've got something to help you keep on track and keep on task within your online teaching. It's very easy to go off on a tangent when you don't have that structure there, and this becomes more evident when delivering online content. Students typically take longer to process information when we deliver it as an online lesson. Always ensure that you're giving students enough time to process the information, and always be thoughtful of those who have additional processing needs, as online lessons do require more time for that information to sink in. There's less communication and less interaction between the student and the teacher, so things may need to be clarified and further details given. Also, us as teachers tend to talk faster when under pressure or feeling like we're nervous, so always bear in mind that although you think you might be delivering the information in an accessible manner, it might be necessary to slow down to help with student processing. My next piece of advice is to break down information into manageable chunks or manageable learning activities. Typically, during an online lesson, students will lose focus much quicker than in a traditional classroom. We need to be mindful of this, making sure that activities are long enough to give students time to engage and to actually find the information out and engage with the learning process, but not too long so that they lose focus. One thing that I like to do to help students keep on track is setting specific time limits for each task. Just because it's an online lesson, it doesn't mean it has to be you talking directly at a camera for 50 minutes or an hour or 2 hours. Break the lesson down, as we previously said, into manageable chunks and consider what you're going to do to deliver that content. You could deliver polls, quizzes, multiple choice, fastest finger first. You could even ask a student what the device is that you're holding up, or show an example of a piece of work and get them to respond with a multiple choice answer or a short answer. There's many ways that you can spice up the learning for online learning. It doesn't have to just be you talking towards a camera or them listening to a piece of audio. Just as you would in a normal classroom setting, build in retrieval activities and make sure that there's time for student feedback. You can also build in independent learning activities. And remember, not all of the lesson needs to be live. You could deliver the first part live, so the introduction to the learning, the retrieval activity. The main bulk or some of the content could be pre-recorded information, and finishing up with a live Q&A, learning feedback, checks on learning at the end of the lesson, or addressing any misconceptions. Not all of the learning needs to be you delivering content. Building opportunities for students to do independent learning and to actually engage with what you're wanting them to do. My final piece of advice is don't overcomplicate things. Make sure that what you plan to do is manageable for you, and make sure that you feel comfortable delivering the way that you intend to do so. If you want to step it up or if you want to try something new, always try and try it out with colleagues first. Make sure that you've tried everything ahead of time addressed any kind of issues, dealt with any technical issues that you may have as much as you can. But remember, sometimes with live lessons, things go wrong, and that's okay. Just make sure if things go wrong, you've got a backup in place, or you've got somebody on hand who can help you should you need it. If you're unsure, or if you need any help from me, come and see me. I'll always gladly help you as much as I can. Thank you. Take care.